Everything you know about warmth is a lie that is about to get you killed. The fire in your hearth is not safety, it is a trap. I survived negative 40 degrees with nothing but trash bags and a basic understanding of physics, while people in heated homes froze to death because they didn't understand the thermodynamics of their own bodies. Right now, your furnace is a mechanical heart that is about to stop beating. When that silence hits, the cold does not knock. It invades like a ghost, passing through walls, slipping under doors, and sucking the life out of your marrow. You are not a person anymore. You are a walking biological reactor leaking energy into a void that wants to equalize you to zero. The cold is a thief holding 5 distinct knives at your throat, and most people never see the blade that finally cuts them. I am going to show you how to disarm the laws of thermodynamics before they turn your living room into a morgue. The physics of the enemy. Understanding the void. To survive the freeze, you must first respect the physics of the monster you are fighting, because cold is not an active force, it is merely the absence of heat, and the universe hates a gradient. Thermodynamics dictates that heat will always travel from a high concentration area to a low concentration area until equilibrium is reached. That equilibrium is your death. You are fighting 4 specific demons. The first is Conduction, where the heat bleeds from your skin into whatever solid object you touch. The second is Convection, the wind that strips away the warm air layer your body works so hard to create. The third is Radiation, which is your body glowing in the infrared spectrum, literally beaming your life force into the dark corners of the room. The fourth is Evaporation, the sweat that cools you down when you desperately need to stay warm. You cannot bargain with these forces, but you can manipulate them. This is not about comfort, it is about maintaining a core temperature of 98.6 degrees while the world tries to pull you down to zero. You need to stop thinking of your house as a home and start seeing it as a failing life support system that you must manually override. The grid has failed, the gas lines are depressurizing, and help is not coming. It is just you, the silence, and the physics. But before we can secure the perimeter, we have to secure the core. Next, we are going to shrink your world to survive it. Constructing the microclimate, the fortress strategy. The biggest mistake people make when the power dies is trying to maintain the status quo by heating a 2,000 square foot home with a single candle or a propane heater. That is a mathematical impossibility that will waste your fuel and leave you shivering. You must immediately retreat and consolidate. You are going to build a fortress inside your home, a concept known as microclimate engineering. Select the smallest room in the house, preferably one that is central, windowless, and has a low ceiling. Large volumes of air require massive amounts of energy to heat, so you want to reduce the volume to the absolute minimum. A walk-in closet, a pantry, or a small hallway is infinitely superior to a master bedroom with vaulted ceilings. Once you have selected your bunker, you must seal it with the obsession of a submarine engineer. The cold enters through infiltration, which is air leakage through cracks, electrical outlets, and door jams. You need to arrest this airflow immediately. Use towels, old t-shirts, duct tape, or even chewed gum to seal every visible gap. If your chosen room has a window, that glass is a thermal hole in your hull. Glass is a terrible insulator and acts as a bridge for conductive heat loss. You must cover it. Tape heavy black trash bags over the window frame, but do not tape them directly to the glass. You want to create a dead air space between the plastic and the window. Air, when it is motionless, is one of the best insulators in the world. By trapping a pocket of stagnant air, you are creating a thermal barrier that slows down the transfer of energy. If you have bubble wrap, tape it to the glass first. The bubbles are literally trapped air pockets that fight conduction. Furthermore, you need to think about the materials inside your fortress. Remove furniture that is cold to the touch, like metal chairs or glass tables, as they are thermal sinks that will absorb your precious heat. Drag in mattresses, cushions, and rugs. You are increasing the thermal mass of the room with objects that hold heat rather than reject it. If you have a tent, pitch it inside this room. A tent inside a sealed room creates a double-layer greenhouse effect. The room protects the tent from the wind, and the tent traps the heat from your bodies in a tiny volume of air. You are creating layers of defense, nesting dolls of insulation. Inside that tent, the temperature can be 20 degrees warmer than the rest of the house simply from your body heat. You have now built the vessel, but a vessel needs a reactor to power it. That reactor is you, but only if you know how to insulate the pipes. Next, we discuss the art of layering without suffocating your skin. The biological reactor. Advanced layering dynamics. Your body is a biological furnace burning glucose to generate thermal energy, but that energy is useless if you let it escape into the atmosphere. The art of clothing in a survival scenario is not about bulk. It is about trapping air. We call this loft. You need to create a dead air space around your skin that your body can heat up, and then you need to prevent that warm air from escaping. This requires a strategic 3-layer system, and getting it wrong can be fatal. The layer touching your skin is the base layer, and its only job is moisture management. This is where cotton becomes a death sentence. Cotton is hydrophilic, meaning it loves water. It absorbs 27 times its weight in liquid and loses almost all its insulating properties when wet. If you sweat in a cotton t-shirt, that wet fabric will sit against your skin and conduct heat away from your core 25 times faster than air. You must wear wool, silk, or synthetics like polyester. These hydrophobic materials wick moisture away from your skin to the outer layers, keeping your engine dry. The second layer is your insulation layer, the one responsible for trapping the heat. This is where you want loft. Fleece, wool sweaters, or down vests work by trapping millions of tiny air pockets in their fibers. The more air you trap, the warmer you remain. However, do not wear something so tight that it compresses your veins. Blood flow is your internal heating system, carrying warm blood from your core to your extremities. If your socks are too tight, you are cutting off the supply line and your toes will freeze regardless of how thick the wool is. Double up on socks, but ensure your boots or shoes are loose enough to accommodate them. If you can't wiggle your toes, you are setting the stage for frostbite. The final layer is the shell, designed to block convection. Even in your living room, drafts exist. A windbreaker or a tightly woven jacket prevents the air currents from stealing the warmth held in your mid-layer. But there is a critical catch. You must manage your output. If you start to exert yourself by moving furniture or hauling water, you will generate excess heat and begin to sweat. In a freezing environment, sweat is a precursor to hypothermia. You must practice delayering. As soon as you feel your heart rate rise, take off the outer shell. Vent your neck. Cool down before you sweat. You are constantly tuning your thermostat manually. Do not forget your head. The scalp has a massive network of blood vessels near the surface and very little fat for insulation. You lose a disproportionate amount of heat through your head through radiation. Wear a beanie, a hood, or wrap a scarf around your skull. It is the chimney cap on your furnace. Now that you are wrapped effectively, you need to understand that the ground is trying to kill you faster than the air. Next, we explore the physics of sleep and why your bed might be your coffin. The sleep system, conduction, and the vampire floor. The most dangerous time in a blackout is when you are unconscious. Sleep drops your metabolic rate, slowing down your internal heat production, and if you are not positioned correctly, physics will drain you dry. The floor of your home is a massive thermal sink. It has infinite mass compared to your body, and through the process of conduction, it will pull heat out of you until you match its temperature, which is freezing. You must never sleep directly on the floor, and even a simple mattress might not be enough if the air under the bed frame is 0 degrees. You need to decouple yourself from the cold surfaces. This is where the concept of R value, or resistance to heat flow, becomes critical. You need to build a platform. Stack cardboard boxes, yoga mats, cushions, and blankets to create a barrier between you and the floor. Cardboard is surprisingly effective because of the corrugated air channels inside it. If you are sleeping on a mattress, check what is underneath it. If the space under the bed is open, stuff it with bags of clothes, suitcases, or pillows to stop the cold air from circulating beneath you. When you sleep, you must create a cocoon. A sleeping bag is ideal, but if you don't have one, you need to construct a taco out of blankets. Fold the blanket in half and pin the bottom and sides so you are sliding into a pocket. This prevents cold drafts from entering when you shift in your sleep. If you have a Mylar emergency blanket, do not put it directly against your skin as it will cause you to sweat. Put the Mylar on top of your wool blankets to reflect your radiant heat back down at you. But be warned, your breath is a source of moisture. Do not bury your head inside the sleeping bag. The moisture from your exhalation will condense in the insulation, collapsing the loft and turning your warm cocoon into a damp shroud. Keep your nose and mouth exposed to the air, but wear a balaclava or a scarf to pre-warm the air you breathe. We have secured the perimeter and the body, but eventually the internal fire will fade if it is not fed. Next, we discuss the calorie currency and why your diet must change drastically. The calorie currency, metabolic combustion. In a survival situation, calories are not units of weight gain, they are units of heat energy. Your body is a machine that converts chemical energy into thermal energy. When the ambient temperature drops, your basal metabolic rate, BMR, skyrockets because your body is working overtime to maintain homeostasis. Shivering alone can increase your heat production by 500%, but it burns through your glycogen stores at a terrifying rate. You cannot eat like a modern human. You must eat like a predator in winter. You need fuel that burns slow and hot. Carbohydrates are like kindling. They burn fast and give you a quick burst of energy, but they burn out quickly. Fats are your hardwood logs. Fat contains 9 calories per gram compared to 4 for carbohydrates and proteins. Digesting fat generates heat through a process called the thermic effect of food, TEF. But more importantly, it provides the sustained energy your body needs to keep the furnace running all night. Peanut butter, nuts, chocolate, canned meats with the fat included, and oils are now your most valuable assets. If you have a stick of butter, eating a pat of it before bed can actually help keep you warm through the night. You also need to manage the temperature of what you ingest. Drinking ice-cold water is a thermodynamic error. Your body has to expend precious energy to warm that liquid up to body temperature, stealing heat from your core. If you can, warm your water and food before consuming them. This adds external thermal energy to your system. However, do not drink alcohol. The sensation of warmth you get from whiskey is a physiological lie. Alcohol is a vasodilator. It opens up the blood vessels near your skin, bringing warm blood to the surface. This makes you feel warm momentarily, but it rapidly dumps your core heat into the environment through radiation and convection. It literally turns off your body's natural defense against the cold. Stay sober, stay fed, and keep the fire burning from the inside out. But speaking of fire, the temptation to bring external heat into your fortress is the most common cause of death. Next, we analyze the chemistry of combustion and how to heat your space without poisoning your blood. The carbon trap. Safe heating protocols. The desperation to feel warmth leads people to make fatal miscalculations with combustion. Understand this: anything that burns consumes oxygen and releases byproducts. In a sealed fortress, you are in a closed system. If you bring a charcoal grill, a gas generator, or a camping stove designed for outdoor use inside, you are introducing a chemical weapon into your bunker. Carbon monoxide is the silent assassin. It binds to your hemoglobin 200 times more effectively than oxygen. It suffocates your cells while you are still breathing. You will feel tired, perhaps a slight headache, and then you will simply go to sleep and never wake up. If you have an indoor safe heater like a propane mister heater or a kerosene unit, you must treat it with paranoid respect. Indoor safe assumes a certain level of air exchange that you may have just eliminated by sealing your room. You must crack a window or a door periodically to cycle the air. Even a small opening of ½ an inch can be enough to replenish oxygen levels. Do not run these heaters while you sleep. Run them to take the edge off the chill before bed, then shut them down. Rely on your insulation for the night. If you have absolutely no heater, you can utilize the concept of thermal mass with a candle. A single candle creates a negligible amount of heat, but it can be captured. The famous terracotta pot heater works on the principle of trapping convective heat. You place a clay pot upside down over a candle, elevated for airflow. The flame heats the clay, which then radiates that heat slowly into the room. It converts convective heat, which rises to the ceiling and is lost, into radiant heat, which you can feel. It is not a miracle, it won't heat a house, but in your small fortress, it can raise the temperature by a few critical degrees. Just ensure the candle is on a non-flammable surface and never leave it unattended. Fire is a chaotic element. In a blackout, you have no running water to put it out and no fire department coming to save you. A house fire now is a guaranteed fatality. We have heat, but your house has veins that are about to burst. Next, we tackle the hydraulic pressure building in your walls. The hydraulic nightmare, water infrastructure defense. While you fight for your life, your house is fighting for its structural integrity. The water in your pipes is a ticking time bomb. As water freezes, it expands by about 9%. In a confined copper or PVC pipe, this expansion creates hydraulic pressure capable of exerting thousands of pounds of force, ripping metal apart like tissue paper. When the thaw comes, you will be left with a flooded ruin. You must act immediately when the heat fails. Go to the lowest point in your house and find the main water shutoff valve. Turn it off. You have now cut the supply. Next, go to the highest faucet in your house and turn it on. Then go to the lowest faucet, often a laundry sink or a bathtub on the ground floor, and turn it on. You are draining the system. By letting the water evacuate the pipes, you leave nothing to freeze. If you cannot turn off the main water for some reason, or if you need to keep it on, you must utilize the physics of fluid dynamics. Moving water is harder to freeze than standing water. Open every faucet to a slow drip. This continuous flow creates friction and brings slightly warmer water from the buried mains into your pipes, preventing the formation of ice blockages. Open the cabinet doors under your sinks. This allows the ambient heat of the room, whatever is left of it, to circulate around the plumbing traps. Insulate any exposed pipes in unheated areas like garages or crawl spaces with towels, foam, or newspapers. But remember, your priority is drinking water. Before you drain the system, fill your bathtub. This is not for drinking. It is for flushing toilets manually. For drinking, you have a secret reservoir, your hot water heater. It contains 40 to 50 gallons of potable water. To access it, turn off the gas or electricity to the tank, close the intake valve, and attach a hose to the drain valve at the bottom. Open a hot water faucet somewhere in the house to create a vacuum break, and you can drain clean water directly from the tank. This is your strategic reserve. Dehydration thickens your blood, making it harder for your heart to pump warm blood to your extremities. You must stay hydrated to stay warm. Now that the physical systems are secured, we must address the psychological decay that sets in when the lights go out. Next, the mind game of the long dark. The psychology of the void. Morale as a resource. The cold is exhausting, but the darkness is corrosive. When the grid fails, your circadian rhythms are smashed. The lack of light disrupts the production of melatonin and serotonin, leading to rapid onset depression, lethargy, and fatal mistakes. You are not just managing temperature, you are managing hope. Panic triggers the fight or flight response, which floods your system with adrenaline. This is useful for sprinting away from a bear, but in a freezing house, it burns through your glucose reserves and leads to an inevitable crash. You must maintain a gray man psychological profile. Calm, observant, and low energy. Lighting is crucial for morale. Do not burn through your batteries in the first night. Use your headlamps and flashlights only for tasks. For ambient light, use candles or glow sticks. Glow sticks are excellent because they produce cold light via chemiluminescence. No fire hazard, no batteries, just a chemical reaction. Hang one in your fortress to create a focal point so you aren't sitting in crushing blackness. Communication is the other pillar of sanity. Isolation breeds paranoia. If you have a hand crank radio, use it to get news. Hearing a human voice confirms that the world still exists. If the cellular network is down, text messages often get through when calls fail because they travel as small data packets. Send your status to family, then turn your phone off to save the battery. Keep the phone inside your layers, close to your body heat. Lithium-ion batteries lose their charge rapidly in the cold as the chemical reactions inside them slow down. A frozen phone is a dead phone. If you have neighbors, establish a physical check-in routine. Knock on doors during the daylight. There is safety in numbers, and shared body heat is the most efficient heater in existence. If you can combine households into one fortress, you exponentially increase your chances of survival. But there is one final variable that ruins even the best plans: the unpredictable duration. Next, the strategy for the long haul. The long haul, the scavenger mindset. As the hours turn into days, your initial supplies will dwindle. You must shift from defense to scavenging. Your refrigerator is now a rotting box. You have 48 hours max before the food inside spoils, less if you keep opening the door. Eat the perishables first, then look outside. If it is freezing, nature has provided you with a world-class freezer. Put your food in a cooler and place it outside or in an unheated garage. Secure it against animals. Raccoons and stray dogs are also hungry and cold. You must become creative with fuel. If you run out of candles, you can make a slush lamp. Take a can of tuna packed in oil, punch a hole in the top, insert a small wick made of cotton cloth, and light it. The oil in the tuna will burn for hours. Crayons can also be burned as candles. The wax and paper wrapper will sustain a flame for about 30 minutes per crayon. This is the scavenger mindset. Looking at everyday objects and seeing their potential energy. Sanitation will become an issue. If the toilets don't flush, do not let waste accumulate in the house. Use a bucket with a heavy-duty bag and kitty litter or dirt. Disease kills just as effectively as the cold. Keep your fortress clean. The psychological impact of living in filth will break your will to continue. Maintain a routine. Wake up, check the perimeter, check your team, ration the food, manage the light. Chaos is the enemy. Structure is the shield. The dawn. Eventually, the hum will return. The lights will flicker on, blinding in their intensity. The furnace will roar like a waking dragon, and the heat will begin to push the ghost back out through the walls. You will have survived not because you were lucky, but because you understood the physics of your own existence. You turned a dying house into a life support system. You respected the cold, you manipulated the thermodynamics, and you endured the silence. But listen to me closely. The grid will fail again. The storms are getting stronger and our infrastructure is getting older. Next time, it might be for a week. It might be forever. You have the knowledge now, but knowledge without preparation is just a sophisticated way to die. Go check your insulation. Buy the wool socks. Store the water. You are the reactor. You are the fortress. The cold is waiting for your mistake. Do not give it one. Start your preparation today by doing the one thing that costs $0 but could save your life. Go find the water shutoff valve in your house right now and tag it, because when the panic hits, you won't have time to search.